Good morning again, everyone. Good to be with you again this August 21st, which is exactly 1 month away from the first day of fall. And we're having a pretty good day here today, though I'm sure we're going to have some rain before the day is out, to say the least, right? I'm Bob, and I'm the teacher and virtues facilitator at the Charles G. Andrew Youth and Family Treatment Center in Cheshire, Labrador. I want to mention too that I've been doing these videos now since I guess the middle of April, and I should have been saying all along that the purpose of it was to keep in connection with our clients that had left the program because of COVID-19, as well as to be in kind of reach out to those who are future clients, and to anybody else that was interested in learning about what we do at the treatment center. I guess what I do in particular, which is the Virtues program, and when families come in, of course, I'm the teacher for the children as well. So, but anyone that's interested in applying to CJ, like if you want to just find out what the program is about, how we can help you, anything that we can offer. By all means, you can call our number at 709-497-8995, and extension 227 will put you in contact with Dylan, and Dylan will certainly go over the program with you in detail, so you'll know what it's all about, right? Now, if you're checking the videos to see what comments and likes or dislikes or whatever, then probably what you're going to see is maybe 1 or 2 or 3. I think in one case there was 8 comments, there was 2 or 3 likes, and that's all you would see, which means, why would I continue doing this? Well, just as a reference, the last video I did, which was on Wednesday, there were 67 people viewed that video. The one before that on the Monday, there was 42. Last Friday, there were 71. Last Wednesday's was 81. So people are watching the video. Unless they like, dislike, comment, then, people don't know that, okay? Why I do it? Well, I got a little story for you, a short little story. I don't have the paper, but I kind of remember the story, so I'll tell it to you. This guy was on the way for his walk, his daily walk down to the beach. So off he goes to the beach, strolling away, taking his time, looking around. And he looks up this beach because it's a long beach. He looks up the beach and he sees something up there, and it's moving, but he doesn't know what it is. So he goes on down the beach and starts strolling up the beach, and he notices that something is moving up and down. So he kept going and going and going, and finally he starts to get closer and closer, and he realizes this is a person. This is a man standing on the beach. And he's reaching down and picking up something and throwing it. So when he finally gets up to him, he notices what he's doing. He's reaching down and he's picking up starfish, and he's throwing starfish in the ocean. So the man says to him, "What are you doing?" Well, he says, the tide has gone out, a long way out. It's going to be hours before it comes back in. And he said, look at these starfish. They're here lying on the beach. He said, they're going to die. He says, if I don't do something about it, they're going to die. And the man says, but look at the starfish along the beach. There are so many. How can you possibly make a difference? The man reaches down, picks up a starfish, throws it into the ocean, and says, made a difference to him. So, yeah, there's lots of starfish, but he made a difference to that one. And there's lots of people out there, that are struggling with addictions, whether it be alcohol, drugs, or whatever, and don't know where to turn to get a hand up. They don't know what to do. They need to develop this courage, and so that's the purpose of these videos as well. So if somebody comes across them and views them, they may say, oh, I should call the treatment center and see what they have to offer me. So I hope you take that to heart, and remember, everyone that you help certainly makes a difference, doesn't it? And whether you're suffering from addictions or not, you're still a valuable person. You're still important. You're still a child of God, and we do want to help you. So, with that said, I need to tell you that we are going through the Family Virtues Guide, and we are currently at the last strategy of the Virtues Project. Number 1 was speak the language of the virtues, and you should always speak the language of the virtues regardless of what stage you're in. Recognizing teachable moments was number 2. Number 3 was set clear boundaries. Number 4, honor the spirit. And now we're starting a new one. It's called Offer the Art of Spiritual Companioning. And that is, counseling is a big part of a parent's job description. Anyone that is a parent, been a parent, grandparent, maybe have some inkling as to what that means, right? We are, as parents, grandparents, also counselors. It seems as if every day with a child brings a skinned knee or a hurt feeling. To be a spiritual counselor is to offer more than your compassion. It is to support your child when he faces a moral dilemma as well. It is to assist the child to find resolution rather than doing his spiritual work for him. The virtues-based approach to the role of counselor is one which is highly respectful and honors the child's ability to find his own truth in a context of virtues. So it's like saying, here's what you should do. Here's what you shouldn't do. But when you speak to them in the virtuous way and to be the counselor, they will actually come up with that answer themselves. And you know yourself, if it comes from within you, you're more likely to follow it. Okay. There is a big difference between sympathy, empathy, and companioning. Sympathy is when you feel sorry for someone. Complete stranger sometimes, oh, I feel sorry for you. Empathy is when you can feel their feelings. When something happens to somebody that has already happened to you, then you can feel their feelings because you've been there. That's empathy. And companioning is when you bring compassion and detachment together so that you can walk intimately with others without taking on their feelings as your responsibility. The ability to witness another's feelings without needing to fix them is a powerful gift to give to anyone, but particularly to our intimates, our family in particular. Douglas Steen says, there's a quote here, to listen another soul into a condition of disclosure and discovery may be almost the greatest service that any human being ever performs for another. It says, to listen, and listen as in quotation marks. You're listening another soul into a condition of disclosure. So you're not giving advice. You're not telling them what to do, what not to do, but you're listening, using your 2 ears, and allowing the person to talk about what's going on and eventually come up with a solution. To listen another soul into a condition of disclosure and discovery may be almost the greatest service that any human being ever performs for another. What about feelings? The simplest way to serve as a child's spiritual companion is to be present to the child, especially when strong feelings come. Whether a child is feeling sad, mad, glad, or scared, it always helps to have a parent there as a respectful, loving, genuinely present witness. This is not a time to bring in one's own feelings or to take on the child's. Just meet the child. Just meet the child. If she skins a knee and gets right up, you don't need to ask, "Did you hurt your knee?" That's what she might say. Yeah, and start crying and start looking for all of the things that mom can give, right? If she takes a deep breath and lets out a scream, gather your detachment and compassion to hold her, to hear her, to comfort her. True comfort comes when simple acknowledgments such as, "Oh, that really hurt. That was a nasty fall," or "Your knee really got banged." Not deflections or rescues such as, "We'll put some ice on it and then it will all be better," or minimizing. "Don't cry, it's just a little scrape." Don't encourage children to skip their feelings. Get the ice, but as you are doing so, you can honor the truth of their experience. So our behavior towards what's happened, like as parents, grandparents, teachers, or whatever, our behavior towards the child after something happens can determine a lot, can determine, the things that a child can learn. Serving as an educator and authority in a child's life in no way removes the need to be receptive and respectful of children's feelings. The Virtues Project does not condone the suppression of feelings in the name of virtues. The long-standing custom that children are to be seen and not heard must be replaced with the understanding that every person, especially a child, has the right to be seen, to be heard, and to be taken seriously. Remember that? Children are to be seen and not heard. So sit quietly and keep your mouth closed, especially when there's guests around. Well, the Virtues Project has changed that, and I think that has been changing in our society anyway. But every person, and especially a child, it stresses the child, has the right to be seen, right to be heard, and right to be taken seriously. That's our role. Listening to a child's feelings validates their experiences and is essential to self-esteem. If it's essential to self-esteem, we need to be listening to validate the child's feelings and experiences. It is a powerful way for parents to model compassion, courtesy, and respect. If a child experiences disrespect from his parents, he will be free as an adult to honestly admit his own feelings, to accept those feelings with compassion, and then to use detachment to choose how he is going to act in light of his feelings. Your detached, compassionate listening lays the foundation for your child's emotional and spiritual health. So, I know we're mentioning detachment here a lot. So, of course, the virtue that we're going to look at today is going to be detachment. Now, I know we've looked at it sometime in the past, but I think it's okay today to look at that one again because I think it's probably necessary. There are situations when it is not timely to drive at a child's feelings, namely when she has just acted in an aggressive manner. The appropriate responses from the parent at such a time, is to stop the behavior and give a consequence, which, based on our developing the ground rules, you would have done already in your family, and so because of that aggression, you would have already had a consequence set up, and that's the consequence that a child would serve. After a consequence is given, is often a time when feelings need to be heard. For example, after a timeout for an aggressive act has been completed, you may want to invite the child to talk about her anger. Now, this is a dialogue in a home which has a boundary about the expression of anger through words rather than violence, okay? So this is something that happened, and it was written down afterwards. So just listen to what the dialogue was. Parent says, "What was the consequence for?" And the child says, "'Cause I hit Robbie." Parent, "Are you ready to play peacefully now?" Child, "Yes." Parent, "Do you want to talk about what happened?" Child, "I was just tired." Parent, "What were you tired of?" Child, "Robbie really made me mad." Parent, "How?" Child, "He grabbed my stuff. He always does." Parent, "He grabs it? Pretty annoying." disrespectful. Then the child, taking a deep breath, yes, it was. And the parent says, so, honey, when Robbie grabs things and you're feeling mad, how can you be assertive with him? How could you show you're mad and be peaceful at the same time? The child said, I could tell him if he does that again, he has to go home. Right, Mom? Parent, that sounds like a good boundary. Very assertive. Child, okay, Mom, I'm going to play now. Bye. So this was actually played out in a home. So you see how it works. You give the child an opportunity to talk about what happened. So you can see where the child, even serving a consequence, can still turn and give her mom a hug. And that's important. Now, this is no time to preach. Preaching is unnecessary and annoying to a child who has already paid his debt to society, so to speak, right? He had consequence. Asking him what he has learned is a far more effective way to recognize a teachable moment. What did you learn from this, right? Taking the next step of listening to feelings when the child wants to, and you have the time and energy to do it, can be very empowering. When a parent then asks questions which help a child reflect on what virtue they could have used, it empowers the child's budding moral sense. Budding because we're nurturing it. It's budding, it's coming out, it's starting to show. And of course what we want are our children growing up to be good, moral citizens. Okay, so that's the beginning of our strategy number 5, which is parent as counselor. So I hope you got something out of that. I mean, it sounds like a more difficult kind of concept to grasp, but it is certainly a useful one. There's no doubt about that, you know. So we're going to take a look at the virtue of detachment. Detachment. The quote is from Hinduism. It's from the holy book, the Bhagavad Gita. Perform all thy actions with mind concentrated on the divine, renouncing attachment and looking upon success and failure with an equal eye. Spirituality implies equanimity. So what is detachment? Detachment is experiencing your feelings without allowing your feelings to control you. It is choosing how you will act in a situation rather than just reacting. Feelings like sadness, happiness, disappointment, joy, frustration, anger are natural. That's a natural part of us. Everyone has them. Detachment is a way to use thinking and feeling together so that you don't let your feelings run away with you. Detachment does not mean you pretend to feel differently than you do. Feelings are wonderful when they belong to us, when we use them to do what we really choose to do. Detachment means to feel what you feel, but not have to act on the feeling unless you want to. It's kind of like standing beside yourself and watching what you are feeling as well as feeling it. Why should we practice detachment? Detachment is very important for a spiritual being. It allows you to choose the way you are going to act no matter how you feel. It permits you to be kind to people you do not like, or do a very hard thing because it is the right thing to do. Detachment helps you to decide what to do about strong feelings, like anger. You can decide to use your voice to tell someone how mad you are and why, rather than picking up the nearest object and slamming them with it, which is what you might want to do. But with detachment, you won't do. Detachment can give you self-confidence. It is like going to a calm, peaceful place within your mind and looking at what is happening without getting swept away. Without detachment, you never know what you're going to do. It depends on how you feel. When you practice detachment a lot, it becomes easier to do, even when your emotions are very strong. Pray and meditate, or prayer and meditation can be a big help in learning detachment. Without detachment, you would stay away from all the things you don't like or which are hard to do, even if it is very important for you to do them. With detachment, you can choose to do something you like in moderation, rather than eating too much or playing a game too much and neglecting other things you need to do. So you see how detachment works. It can keep you out of trouble. You know. Kid comes along and scratches your car, right? And you see them do it. What's going to be your reaction? Well, that's where you need detachment. Because if it's your brand new car and you got a big scrape down the side, you may want to go out and grab the kid, shake them, and slap them upside the head and throw them around and call their parents and call the cops, and only God knows what else you might want to do, right? But with detachment, you would realize, you know what? It's a vehicle. New or not, it can be repaired. But if you do what I just said to the child, that damage lasts a lifetime. So you see why detachment is so very important. So how do you practice detachment? You can practice detachment. You can practice detachment whenever you have a feeling about something or someone. First, you recognize the feeling. How can you be detached if you do not know what you are detaching from? So know what the feeling is going on inside of you when you saw that nail go down the side of your vehicle. What's going through you? Recognize it. Stop and look at your feelings and thoughts. Ask yourself 2 questions. What am I feeling about this? What do I want to do? Now, pay attention to what you want to do. Ask yourself, is it good for me? Will it help someone else? Think about what I said about the child that scratched the vehicle. And you run out and you grab the child, right? Will it help someone else? Is it right? Is it the best I can do? Now, if the answer to any of these questions is no, then choose to do something else instead. You have to look, you have to choose, then you have to act. And I always say this. This is important. Maintain your character and practice detachment. Maintain your character. Who is the real you? Is that the person that runs out and grabs the child and shakes them and slaps them upside the head and throws them around and calls the cops and all this? Is that the person that's inside of you? Then we really need to practice detachment, right? But so the character that you really are, that's the one that you display. I mentioned this one before, but you know, if somebody, for example, is saying really mean things to you, I had somebody do that to me one time as a teacher, but I think they were doing it to me as a teacher, but not as Bob, but as a teacher, right? And they were saying some nasty things. I maintained my character. I said to the person, I said, you know, you are a nice boy, and I don't think you should be saying these things. They're not becoming of you, right? But for a while, every time he seen me, he was saying these things. So I had to practice detachment. I had to show my character. Well, what if I started saying the same things back to him? Well, then that would have been my character, and we would have been equal. We would have been the same. He would have been saying all kinds of stuff. I would have been saying the same kind of stuff, and so who's the difference? So let's say in the middle of that, somebody walks through the door. They see both of us going at each other the same way. We're the same. We're the same characters. So maintain your character. You have to maintain your character. It's extremely important. So here are signs of success. You are practicing detachment when you take time out before doing something you will be sorry for. Can you imagine if you picked up that child, shook them, slapped them, threw them around? Can you imagine what you're going to be feeling like later? You're going to wish you hadn't done it. That's why detachment is important in the beginning, not later. You are practicing detachment when you look at your feelings before deciding to act. When you use thinking and feeling together. So you're thinking about this and you're figuring, how am I feeling? How am I feeling about this? You pray or meditate before taking action. You are practicing detachment when you choose to do what is right. The affirmation: I am aware of my feelings and choose my actions with detachment. I do what is right for me. I choose to be my best self no matter what happens. I choose to be my best self no matter what happens. Now, none of us are perfect. We just try to be a little better today than we were yesterday. That's the way it works. So keep that in mind. We don't want to get worse. We always want to get a little bit better, right? Just a little bit better. So some little quotes here on detachment. I like this one. Stop and think. Don't run out there and grab that child. Stop. Think. Use detachment. This one. When there is something wrong with everyone else, guess what? There's something wrong with you. If there's something wrong with everyone else, there is something wrong with you. Anonymous. This one here from Sacred Moments by Linda Carlin Popoff. And it is by Catherine Dykeman. Catherine Dykeman. Feelings demand to be noticed, and healthy people know what they feel, accept those feelings, and are able to choose how to act in the light of those feelings. They're practicing detachment, that's why. I have the power to detach myself from cravings and irritations, to be alive to what truly matters. It is my choice. And this part, by Melody Beattie. Detachment is based on the premise that each person is responsible for himself, that we can't solve problems that aren't ours to solve, and that worrying doesn't help. How ready am I to detach from unhealthy enmeshments in my life, to stop taking responsibility for other people and their choices? So there are some quotes, and something I want you to think about now. Number one, what are some of the hardest times for people to be detached? What are some of the hardest times for people to be detached? For me, for example, it would be if I seen an adult come up and grab one of my grandchildren and slap them, I'd have a lot of difficulty being detached in that case. But of course, I know I would have to be because, but you know, the police would be called and I would be out there. Anyway, that's just an example from me. You can think of some of yours for yourself, right? How about this one? What happens if we don't practice detachment? What if I were to go out and punch the guy? We'd both be in court. He'd be in court for assaulting my granddaughter, and I'd be in court for assaulting him. But our characters would be basically the same. We're both violent in that case, right? Because if it's not in there, it's not going to come out. But you can understand where the protectionist part, you know, you have a lot of difficulty with detachment. What would change in your life and your behavior if you only had 1 week to live? And we don't know how long we got, do we? You know, we could live for, like me, going to live to be 100, or, you know, we could be gone tomorrow. We don't know. We don't know. So what would happen if you only had 1 week to live? If we were thinking that way, how would our changes be to our behaviors, and whether or not it would help us with our detachment, you know? Anyway, that's our little lesson for today. And I just want to mention our website. If those of you would like to go visit our official Charles J. Andrew Treatment Center webpage, it is www.cjay.org. cj.org. So check that out. Again, I just want to say call us at 709-497-8995, extension 227, and that will be Dylan, who will just run you through everything that we do at the center so you can determine whether or not it's going to be helpful for you. But whatever you do, if you feel you need help, please, please reach out. We're there for you. We're there to help you. All of this is confidential when you call. While you're at the center, it's all confidential. And the only thing people know is the things that you tell them. So whatever your addictions might be. All right, so with that, if you need a hand up, if you need us to help you, then by all means get in contact. You know, even if you dropped me a message on a private message, I can certainly look into helping you as well by getting any of the materials you may need to determine if you can come to our center. Okay, so I'll be back again on Monday. This is Friday, right? I'll be back again on Monday with another part of our Parent as Counselor. So it was nice to be here. Take care, stay away from the coronavirus, and we'll see you again on Monday. So bye for now.